This week, we interviewed Donovan Bankhead of Springfield Music, talk about music, cigars, and the cigar community. In our Debonair Ideal segment, we're going to talk about draw pokers. Should you use them? How do you use them? Should you even have to use them? Everything about draw poking will be covered in that segment. Stop laughing. It's not funny. In our Stogies of the Week, we're going to talk about all the Stogies that we've been smoking. We're going to do a cigar here in studio for the show. So we have a Cigar of the Week chosen from E.P. Carrillo. You'll be hearing about that and more on this edition of the Stogie Geeks Show. This is a Security Weekly production. Broadcasting live from G-Unit Studios in Rhode Island, it's the show where cigars burn slow, ashes fall fast, and cocktails flow steady. It's the Stogie Geeks Show.
Brought to you by Bombay Cigars represent the most admired cigar culture of Cuba. They select the best quality tobacco to use in the aging process. Bombay cigars are then rolled in Costa Rica by some of the most experienced cigar rollers, giving it a unique smoking experience. The band portrays a detailed and artistic nature of our small industry. Try the Bombay Casera, the Bombay Mora, and the recently released Bombay Habano. Bombay Cigars, where the cigar is a way of life. Punch Cigars. For more information, check them out at www.punchcigars.com. Havana Cigar Club, located in Warwick, Rhode Island, is a great place to enjoy a drink and a cigar. Stogie Geeks listeners can find a $5 off coupon on our website by clicking the HCC logo. Duran Premium Cigars, one of the fastest growing boutique cigar companies, provides smokers a portal into the old Cuban tradition of the perfect balance and the lost art of progressive flavor construction. Roberto Pelayo Duran began his career in tobacco over 2 decades ago in Havana, where his reputation grew within Cuban circles. The creation of Duran Premium Cigars has given Roberto the platform to introduce a series of cigars that offer the quality and construction that he perfected while in Cuba. Brands include the ultra-premium Roberto P. Duran signature line, Azan, Nea, and Baracoa. Duran uses a seed-to-humidor approach, as all of their tobacco is grown in their farms and rolled in their factory in Esteli, Nicaragua. Rollers have been carefully chosen to carry out Roberto's precise method to ensure progressive flavor in each cigar. Duran Premium Cigars invites you to make their premium your standard.
Welcome. Are we back? Can you hear me? Hey, how you doing? Welcome to the Stogie Geek Show. I'm your host, Paul Asadorian, broadcasting live from G-Unit Studios in Rhode Island. I have a cast of characters. I'm surrounded by Joes. Imagine that. We already named this episode. It's called Too Many Joes. We're in Rhode Island and we got Joes. Joe Hozempa and his beautiful hair is sitting next to me.
How are you?
Welcome, Joe.
Thank you.
Joe number 1.
Handsome devil.
And Joe number 2, Joe D, is here with us. It's your first time. You're a viewer, and now you're part of the show.
Happy to be here.
Imagine this is the opportunity that we bring here on the Stogie Geeks. Like, you come from a fan. It's like the roadie that learns all the band songs. Was that like a Metallica thing? One of the bass player, the guitar player, right? Learned all the band songs, and then he's the guitar player for Metallica.
Never know.
You're like the guitar player for Metallica now, dude. How cool is that?
That's cool. All you got to do is learn how to play an E. Perfect. Moving on.
And your microphone doesn't have to work. It's great. It's great.
Smile and nod. Beautiful.
I want to introduce our special guest on the lines via Skype before we talk about our Cigar of the Week. Donovan Bankhead has joined us. We're going to talk about music and cigars. Donovan, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm really glad to be here. Excited to get to hang out with you fine gentlemen. And, of course, I used that term incorrectly, but it's still going to be very fun. So.
Yes. Now, are you in your sauna? Is that like a smoking sauna? Because we're in a sauna, too. It's like we're in the same sauna.
Start taking some clothes off, so you're going to get to see all 350 pounds of this beautiful body unleashed.
This is like the sauna episode. Because see my shot, I'm in the sauna, too.
Yeah. I'm actually on my front porch, and it's a little cool. It's probably in the upper 40s here in Missouri. But I'm on my front porch. I brought one of my lights out so that I wouldn't be sitting here in the dark. And enjoying a wonderful cigar, and of course, getting to make some new friends and getting to do something all new, being on a cigar podcast of all things. So I'm super
Well, awesome.
excited.
Yes, I'm excited. I think it was our mutual friend, was it Jason Holcomb, that introduced us from the
Yep.
security world. So
That's right.
fantastic. So Donovan, what are you smoking tonight before we talk about what we're smoking here?
Yeah, let's talk about what's important.
That's right.
So, Padron Anniversary, the Diplomatico.
Nice.
This is probably the Padron 64 Anniversaries are kind of my go-to favorite desert island type cigar. And since I was going to be with you guys tonight, and this is like I mentioned, my first chance to be on a cigar podcast, I wanted to have a special cigar to go with it. So, this is how much you guys mean to me. I love this cigar. So.
Thank you very much, Donovan. It's a great cigar. Big Pete's in the house as well. Welcome, Big Pete. So let's talk about the cigar that I decided to feature tonight. I have way too much information about it, like more than you ever wanted to know, about the EP Carrillo La Historia. This is the El Senador size. Now, I don't know about you guys, but we all, Joe and Joe here in the studio, Joe number 1, Joe number 2, have lit it up as well. My draw is very loose. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah, it does have a loose draw,
Okay.
especially for a box press. Or is this slightly box?
It's like slightly.
Yeah, it's slight.
Joe D,
box.
same
Concur.
thing. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, very loose draw. I like, personally, I don't rate that as a negative. Like, the draw has to be, like, ridiculously loose for me to have it be a negative. I think the draw is good for me, and it's producing a ton of smoke. Like, it's really putting the new, like, ghetto ventilation system we have in here, like, to the test. And it's holding up. Like, in previous iterations of our ventilation system, we wouldn't be able to see each other right now.
It's working good.
Yeah, it's good. All right, so this is a Mexican San Andreas wrapper, Ecuadorian Sumatra binder, Nicaraguan and Dominican filler. The El Senador size is 5 3/8 by 52. We paid $10.75 for these cigars, Rhode Island prices. This was launched in 2014 at the IPCPR trade show. It was assessed in depth on cigar-coop.com, where I got most of my information. As well, it was the 2015. I want to say 2015 or 2014. Hold on.
Wait for it.
15. There'll be 15.
Smoke
No,
of the year?
2014.
Smoke of the year?
No, 2014. Cigar Aficionado number 2 was the E3 size. Was the size which I was going to smoke for the show, but I only had 2 of them. When I went next door to buy a third one, turns out they had ordered 1 box, and I bought the whole box. And it turns out I smoked 8 of them to show you how much that I really liked them. That I only had 2 for the show. So we had to switch to this size because I'm smoke. I have a habit of smoking these apparently. So it garnered a lot of attention. It was named Cigar Aficionado's number 2 cigar of the year, which again was the larger size up from this. Cigar Aficionado is quoted as saying, Ernesto Pérez Carrillo has created many great cigars in his 40-plus years in the business. His La Historia is his best effort in years. The production of La Historia went up 30% in 2015, obviously as a result of the rating. And there were, at the time of the writing in 2015, from another Cigar Aficionado article, he had 70,000 of these cigars back-ordered. Crazy. So he can't keep up, and he says he doesn't strain his rollers. They work 8-hour shifts and are limited to making a max of 300 cigars per day. So in order to keep up demand, in other words, he's not making people like roll faster, like with the whip in the factory, and then having construction issues, which is a testament to his blending. So the name pays homage to the founder, Ernesto Pérez Carrillo Jr.'s family. The E3 is for his son, Ernesto Pérez Carrillo III. It comes in 3 sizes, the 3 E3, El Senador, which we're smoking, and the Doña Elena. So the El Senador pays homage to Ernesto's father, who was a senator in Cuba from Pinar del Rio. Doña Elena pays homage to Ernesto's wife. And that's pretty much all I had on this cigar, which was a lot.
It lingers on the palate.
It's awesome. So what do you guys think of the flavor? I've always liked these cigars. When they first came out, there was a lot of mixed reviews, and I didn't get it. I pretty much liked them from day one. Now, 2 years later or 3 years later after its release, they just keep getting better and
Consistent.
better.
It's a win every time. It's creamy. It's delicious. Love it.
It does have a creaminess component, which you're both kind of hinting towards. It's a very thick smoke.
When you take it out, does it linger like in your palate? Like you kind of feel it a little bit more, like still or no?
Top to bottom, I love it. It's when I'm in the shop, if I come across it, I'm on it.
And these are from the original order in 2015 or whatever, because they're hard to get. They've been in such high demand after the rating. So these are from the original batch, which is just awesome.
I like it.
Cool. Alrighty. So, Donovan, tell us a little bit about how you got started in cigars.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I think my story in some ways kind of unique, but it probably in some respects resonates with how a lot of us got started. I really had never been a smoker of anything, to be honest with you. Matter of fact, I would say I was pretty strongly anti-smoking. And 1 year, probably, I don't know, I think this is maybe 12 years or so ago, a buddy of mine was having a birthday, and so it was going to be kind of a guy's weekend, and we were going to go fishing, and so I thought, well, I'm going to bring cigars because, like, what's more manly than, like, a bunch of dudes fishing and smoking cigars? And so I went to my local shop and I walked in and, like, didn't know anything and, like, started looking around and the salesperson came up and asked, if I need anything. And I just, being in retail myself, I know I always appreciate it when my customers just tell us what's really on their mind, So I was like, man, I don't know what I'm doing. It's this guy's weekend. I thought it'd be cool to get cigars, but he's like, how much you want to spend? I was like, I don't know. I don't know if they're $1. I don't know if they're $100. Like, I know nothing about this. And so he picks out 4 good cigars, and I'm ringing them up, and I'm like, all right, man, I hate to say this because I feel like every man should know this, but which end of these bastards do you cut? How do you like, I just felt so stupid. He was like, oh, don't worry about it, it's fine. And, like, he showed me how to do it. So the thing that's hysterical about that is, we go on this entire weekend thing. Well, we end up catching nothing but a hangover and, like, a sunburn and never smoke the cigars, right? And so I get back home. My wife's out of town. I mow the lawn. And I remember, I've got these cigars. And I thought, since she's not here, I'm going to have one before she gets home. And I'll probably have to throw the rest away. So I'm sitting on my back porch looking at this beautifully mowed lawn, smoking this cigar, and like thinking, God, this is really nice. So I finished that one and like there's 3 more. Let me grab another. So before she got home, I smoked all of them. And when she came home, I told her, I think I have a new hobby. And like,
just like that.
What's that? I was like, cigars. And she's like, have you lost your goddamn mind? Like, I thought she might leave me over that. And but no, she's still around, shockingly enough. But anyway, so that's kind of what got me started.
Now, does she smoke them with you now?
Oh, no. And you know what? I'm good with that.
Yeah,
that's more
fine.
Cigars for me. I don't have to share.
Right.
I'm all good with that.
Do you remember your first cigar? Like what
I
the
remember
brand it was?
one of them
Yep.
was a Fonseca.
Yep.
And they were, I remember they were all like quality cigars. I never had like a Dog Rocket or anything like out of a convenience store until probably a decade later, And so I pretty much started with handmade fine cigars and I've tried to keep to that as much as I can. So,
Donovan, that story is awesome for like so many reasons, right?
Oh yeah.
Like first of all, I think the passion of the retailers is really one of the things that story really highlights. Like, had that person not taken the time to educate you on cigars and what to buy, you might not have picked up the habit, right? So I think that's
exactly
that's
right.
The experience starts for a second you're in the store and all the way through, It's positive.
Having a little bit of guidance is really key.
Well, and I think, we notice this with our business as well, being music retail, having people not, they're already coming in often feeling insecure about their knowledge or ability and not making them feel stupid for that. And, but just showing, hell, we've all been there once where we never had smoked a cigar before. And so to have someone kindly explain like how much to cut, there's times I'll sit there in my shop and I'll see someone, they're going to cut the cigar and they're cutting like that. I'm like, oh my Lord! Like, hey man, let me show you something.
Right.
You just wasted half of a cigar almost, you know.
Yeah.
And,
well, then it's unraveling. Yeah, it gets ugly.
Yeah, and but you got to do it out of kind consideration and with a sincere desire to help. But I'm super grateful for them. They didn't make me feel bad or anything. So,
and what I love about that too is, we do the same thing in technology, right? Like in security, we'll start a project, or you'll be on a mailing list or a comment feed or whatever, and basically the mantra that I've heard from people over the years that have very successful projects in businesses, and they're like, basically, like, don't be a dick. Like, you know what I mean? Like, even if someone comes up and has no idea what they're talking about, like, being nice to that person is just something that I've seen in so many different facets in so many different industries. So, and it really rings true in cigars. So, now, Donovan, you're pretty active in the local cigar community there. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so the main local shop here in town is called Just for Him, and I think they have a tremendous humidor, and they're very well known for that. They're also pretty well known nationally for quality pipe tobacco selection, stuff like that.
Nice.
It's a husband and wife team that own that business, and I think they've owned it for probably 7 or 8 years. The store's been around for a very, very, very long time, but they bought it from the founders. And they're a young couple. They're probably for business owners, I think they're somewhat young. They're probably about my age, maybe a year younger, but they're probably right around that 40 mark. But the thing that I love about it is, first of all, the humidor's just tremendous. I mean, they are a dealer for many of the top cigar brands, and when new releases come out and things like that, they pretty much always will have something. And then they give you that great personal service as well. Like when some of the opuses came out recently, because the limited quantity they had restricted the amount that you could purchase. But, they'd reach out to regulars and, hey, if you'd like for us to set a couple aside for you till you can come in, we're happy to do that. And that kind of like personalized one-on-one service with a great cigar selection, reasonable prices, and a place to hang out and smoke and talk with really fascinating people. I mean, what more could you ask for?
Yeah, and I think it's great too that when you told me some of the history behind the shop, I'm like, yeah, being in business that long, they have access to a lot of things that a lot of other retailers don't. And I'm happy to hear that it was passed off from the founders to someone else to keep that history alive, because Fuente, as you mentioned, shining example. If you've been in business a long time and have that business relationship with Fuente, they're going to take care of you when it comes to a lot of their special editions, which they do zero marketing for, but everyone wants to buy, which I think is one of the most amazing business things that I've ever seen in my entire life. Joe, I knew you'd like to comment on that aspect of it, but I think that's truly amazing.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that I know from a retail perspective, having Arturo Fuente being in your humidor is a big deal. It's definitely a big deal, because they have certain guidelines and rules that they want. And then, the fact that they don't do mass advertising like some of the other brands go out there and do, it does create a demand for their product. But I think it's because it's so focused on their process. When we did the Opus X special,
it was very apparent.
A couple weeks back, a couple podcasts back, they go through a process and they want to stick close to that, and it's beared fruit for them. Plus, I think from a marketing perspective, where they name most of their cigars after novels or books or something to do with the literary aspect of it,
or family too, or
family.
Tonight.
So it's all about taking that time out of your busy day and enjoying their product, and they do a good job delivering that for sure.
So, Donovan, do you organize any HERFs or groups in your area?
Yeah, I haven't done anything here lately because I've been pretty busy, but I started a group called the Southwest Missouri Cigar Aficionados, and I don't know if I am infringing on any trademarks there. Fingers crossed. But anyway, but that was something that I kind of got into years ago. When I started getting into cigars, I didn't know that much about it, and so like a lot of people, I jump online to kind of sort of see what if there's much of a culture community around it, and was astounded to find like, God, there's all these forums and so much activity about this, this little product here. And so I started hearing people talk about HERFs, and went to one that was about a couple hours away, and almost everybody there was a stranger, or maybe I had read their name on the forum. But just that sense of community, of like that kind of bonding, and you always, if a guy's smoking a cigar, then you always have a friend, and just sharing, like just passing cigars around, and like, hey, here's my case. If there's something that you like in there, feel free to take it. And that whole ethic just really blew me away. And so in Springfield, we've hosted several of those. We're really due for another one. And fortunately, our retailers usually pitch in and throw in a few door prizes and a few nice little gifts for the folks that attend. But man, just to get together with fellow cigar lovers and just kind of talk about the world and talk about the product. I mean, I think we could solve a lot of the problems if we could just get everyone together with a cigar and talk about things. I think we could fix most of the issues we have in this country and in this planet for sure.
Domestically, I think that we should, is that Pennsylvania Avenue? Mm-hmm. We should have them grab a little notebook, walk alongside of all the buildings, and actually take the time out and read the inscriptions on all the buildings, right? And then give them a cigar, and you would solve a ton of problems for sure. Yeah. Did you ever do that going on Pennsylvania Avenue, Joe?
I haven't, but what I'm hearing, the overall theme is cigar passion. That's where it lies for all of us, and this is the beginning. And what Donovan said earlier, but it resonates. Everyone has that initial cigar experience. I'm new to the game, 2 years in, and there's always somebody that will show the ropes, and it's on everyone. On all of us to continue to pass it on.
That's how Joe number 1 and Joe number 2, how we all met, actually. I met you at a cigar event at Churchill's, met you at a cigar event, and Mr. Jason on a smoke shop. Turns out, my sister and my sister's friend. But it's Rhode Island. Everyone knows
sure. It's all connected.
It's small. It's not a big state like Missouri. Donovan, what advice do you have for people that want to start their own cigar group in their area? Like, how do you recommend people go about doing it? And I know Big Pete and other friends of the show here have done it here locally and online as well, but I want to hear your advice for folks.
Oh my gosh, I think it's so easy to do. I mean, for one thing, all of us that love cigars, we're just nuts over it. I mean, I'm sitting outside, and like I said, it's kind of cold, but like I don't care. I've got a little propane heater, and like I'll find whatever I need to do so I can enjoy this cigar. So I think if first of all, if you're going to have just an event where it's a cigar event, people will come out of the woodwork for that. So that's pretty easy. What I did to start it was just created a Facebook group and jumped on, and then created added a few members that were friends of mine that I knew were into cigars. Asked them to invite similar-minded friends. And then I did a couple things in the very beginning. Back then with Facebook on a private group, you could it was before ads, but it was something almost like ads. You could promote that group. Mm-hmm. And so I did that, but now, of course, you just ask people to share it. And then I also printed out a couple of flyers for it and stuck it in the men's library at the cigar shop, nice. Which is another word for the restroom, and kind of hung them throughout the store, and got several people that joined that way. And then, of course, starting to host events when we would do a HERF or something, folks would come, they'd bring someone, and then, inevitably it comes up in that conversation. Well, how do you guys all know each other? Oh, we're in this Facebook group, and it just kind of grows from there. But I think it's really simple, because this is something that those of us who love cigars, I mean, we want to hang out with other guys that like cigars. When I had the opportunity to join you guys tonight, I was like, are you kidding me? Like, that'd be amazing. Like, I'd love to do that, and I think a lot of us that love these things would, feel the same way.
Now, when you have your HERFs, Donovan, how do you approach is it at a cigar store that has a lounge? And, like, how do you broker that whole deal for people that want to have that, in their local area?
Sure. So for us, our stores can't serve food or alcohol, unfortunately. And so I usually will schedule those at some kind of restaurant. Of course, here in Missouri now, or in Springfield, you can't smoke inside of a restaurant or bar. So it's pretty much relegated to nicer weather, and we're usually outside, which is fine. And but I like having it because I like to have food and drink with it as well, because that's probably the only thing better than a good cigar is great food and great drinks, and or at least is the equal. And so usually we'll do that there. I have done one once at the store during, I think it was during a winter. We did it at Just for Him. And the problem with that is, our stores are, because they don't have lounges, they're not set up for like a lot of people to kind of be together and congregate. They're set up for like kind of little pockets here and there. And then it's kind of tough to know who's part of this group and who's just there to like shop or do whatever. So
that's great. Yeah, we've done them actually, some meetups and stuff at the store. The advice that I would have for people is most retail owners, if you come to them and say, hey, I've got 10 or 15 or more people that all want to come to your store and smoke, they're like, that's great. Bring them over, right? Like, especially in Rhode Island, there's actually places you can serve liquor. So, like, great. They'll come buy drinks, buy cigars. They get to know our shop. So that's a pretty easy win to get retailers involved pretty much in general, right? Because they benefit from rubbing elbows with the people that like to smoke cigars in the local area.
Absolutely. I mean, my business is instrumental music retail, and anything we can do to get customers in, even if people want to have a community meeting in our store, we let them do it, And, I mean, in retail today, I always say, like, you've got to give folks a reason to put their pants on and drive across town to come to your store. And, if folks want to have a meeting there or hang out with friends or whatever, man, I'm all for it. Anything that gets them in the door is a good thing.
Awesome. So tell us a little bit about the music. I know Joe Hozempa over here, Joe number 1 or number 2, I don't know which are 1 and 1A.
Original Joe.
1.2. You actually went to Berkeley School of Music, which I didn't know.
Yes.
Until we did a podcast and you were talking about that. So do music and cigars play together? I know there's a great podcast, Cigar Jukebox, that ties them together as well. Our good friend Dave there, whose name is not Joe, by the way. So do music and cigars play together?
Oh, I think absolutely, yeah. I mean, there's nothing more rock and roll than a great cigar and a great guitar or great music. Joe, I want to hear. You went to Berkeley. What do you play?
I play guitar, electric, and I dabble with acoustic.
Dabbles.
I dabble with acoustic. I've been on an acoustic kick for a while. But
Did you graduate?
Nope. Nope. I graduated from Rhode Island College. With a degree in economics. But I went to Berkeley in 06 and 07 and learned an amazing school. It was just a great time. Even the Ramones are derived from jazz, according to Berkeley. They have a great curriculum, and it's funny because they teach that any musician needs 3 things, and that's stage presence, dictation, and theory. So theory, you got to know your instrument. You need stage presence. So it's like when I watch performances, either be it a local band or if we watch it on TV or something like that, I still look for those 3 elements. And the artists that really have those 3 elements are the ones that really stand out in our minds. And there are some who have great stage presence, but their theory is kind of, if you were to buy their album, it would be all the same and it would see the same. So, but if a musician has all 3 of those elements, it's a powerful thing, And it was great. It was a great curriculum. I had the opportunity to play on stage with Duke Robillard twice. That was Room Full of Blues. That was pretty crazy. That was at the Blackstone River Theater here in Woonsocket. That was fun. And we've done the performances like at the Berkeley Center for ensemble and stuff like that. And I'm getting back into the acoustic now. Like I'm trying to.
You're gonna do an acoustic solo during the break?
Well, not during the break, but because
only live on air
next week.
Because in acoustic, you got to play the bass notes along with the regular chords, and you have voicings, and you have a different methodology. So, but cigars in music, I guess my answer would be it would depend on which instrument you play. That's
true.
Because if you play drums, you can't smoke a cigar because you are out of breath.
Yeah.
You know, and if you play guitar and you want to smoke a cigar, you best invest in a looping pedal. This way you can just loop the chords, you can take a break, and then you'll be all set and whatnot. What instruments do you play?
So at a professional level, I'd say I play trumpet and the bass guitar. I also play the guitar, and I play a few other little things, but mainly play those. Playing trumpet and cigars at the same time are maybe a little difficult with trumpet being a wind instrument. But I just watched a video the other day of Arturo Sandoval. He was doing an interview, and he was sitting at the piano, and he had I can't remember which Fuente it was, but some beautiful Fuente cigar, and he had his trumpet, and he'd sit there and comp a few things on the piano, and then he'd have the cigar in his mouth, do that, and he'd start singing along, and he'd grab his trumpet and play, and that guy's a badass. So anyway, some things are easier than others, although I would always, even playing bass, when I was playing in a cover band for a few years, man, I'd have a cigar on stage. It just had to be a good one. It had to be one that's not going to go out if I have to set it down for a minute or two. So.
For sure. Right. I've always wanted to play stand-up bass.
Oh, my God.
Always wanted to play stand-up bass. I love that era of music anyway. I think I could probably make the transitions. I love the idea that it's fretless. You know what I mean? So, you got to really have a feel for it. And that's one of my kind of go-tos that I'm going to try to make happen within the next couple of years.
Also, has to add to the stage front presence as well. Cigar in mouth and playing away.
Yeah, I love stand-up bass. I love the
nice visual.
The clickety clack.
Playing some doghouse bass.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I've noodled around with it, but I would definitely would like to learn that instrument for sure.
Well, I play electric bass, and I'm a terrible stand-up player. So
so you have to sit down? Yeah. I can't sing and play, and I can't even talk to you and play. Like, how if you make the transition, you're supposed to be able to have a conversation and play. I can't even talk to you. I'm like G A7 A, and then I thought I would grow out of it, and I just don't. My mind wanders, and it's the way it goes. We did a blues jam for a while. I love doing those. You know what I mean? Because you can get up there and again, it's one of those things. If you're a new musician, go there and play with people who shred. You'll become a better player. You know what I mean? And
Absolutely.
If you can get into a jam that has a live drummer, make sure you use a metronome because you will be out of tune real quick. But it's a good time.
Yep.
So do you still play out or no?
I do.
Yeah.
Right now. So when I play trumpet, I've been fortunate to get to play with a group called the Missouri Jazz Orchestra, which is a big band, basically playing big band jazz, new and old stuff, and with a bunch of just tremendous musicians. I usually get to sub with those guys. And then playing bass, I've done everything from kind of playing in cover bands. Lately what I've been doing more than anything playing bass, which is a little odd, but I've been filling in for churches when they need a bass player. Yeah. I kind of learned to play bass in church. I don't go to church or really get into any of that stuff today, but to go and help someone, a church when they're short for a weekend. I just did this last weekend to go lay down. I always call it, laying down some God rock. Sure. And go do that. You kind of feel like a rock star, man, because like the whole crowd, they all know the words. Yep. They're all sing along. They're all like raising their hands, and what's amazing is like, you're home by 11:30 in the morning. Like, you're not rolling in at 3 or 4.
You can come home and have a cigar.
That's it.
Yeah, exactly.
Tie it all together.
They usually have like top-notch gear, good musicians, like beautiful lighting. Like, I mean, it's really cool. And don't usually get paid, but other than that, it's fun.
Right.
Well, you say that, Donovan. A lot of the technology we use here in the studio, if you search online for like when you're having a problem or how to connect it, you end up on a church music forum. Like more often than not.
No kidding.
Yeah. Like churches are definitely huge into using some of the same technology we use to do the show. So that's just backing up what you said, Donovan. Like they're really into it. It's really cool.
Yeah.
So, Donovan, what cigars do you like to smoke? What's in your regular rotation after you come back from rocking out at church.
You're going to give everyone the wrong impression. Like I'm a Bible thumper or something like that. Anything Padron makes, I will smoke. And
Do you like the new Connecticut? Do you like the what's it called? The
Begins with D.
it'll come to me. The Padron Connecticut, Damascus.
Yes.
Oh yes, yeah. I've only had one. It was terrific. Need to have another now that you mentioned that.
They finally get better with age.
The guys at Just For Him are going to be glad that I did this podcast.
There you go. Yeah, you're going to come up with a list. You're going to have a shopping list by the time it's all said and done.
Yeah. So anything by Padron I like. The guys from Tatuaje really dig a lot of their stuff. The Crowned Head folks dig a lot of the stuff that they make. I'm just trying to think. There's another kind of small company that's sort of my go-to, and I can picture their band. And note to them, their name is not on the band. So now that I'm on this show and everyone's singing, I can't remember the name of their company.
What's the picture look like?
What's the band look
What's the picture look like?
They're the company that does like the Cro-Magnon and the Aquitaine.
Oh, Romacraft. Skip Mark.
Thank you, Romacraft.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Thank you. Yes, really love that stuff. Great guys, tremendous product at a fair value. Fuente. Most generally for Fuente, it's usually going to be the Añejo or Opus X are kind of my favorites for that. I do appreciate some of the Davidoff stuff. But Davidoff for me is a cigar that I've got to really want that cigar to be willing to spend the kind of money to have it. So it's not I like to have a cigar every day. So for me, Davidoff is a cigar that I would only have when that's the taste that I want at that moment.
No,
a little spendy just to smoke it because you want a cigar. But
Padrones can be pricey too. And Donovan, one of the we had episode 500 of our security show last week. And I broke up my box of, which I need to buy another box now because everyone was smoking them, is the Padron 90th Natural that comes in the tubo.
Ooh.
Have you had that cigar?
No.
So if I've seen them priced anywhere from like $18 if you get a box discount all the way up to $25 if you buy a single. I bought my box at the $18, I'll take my 10%. I'm going to buy the whole box. They come in boxes at 10. Some of them was gorgeous packaging you've ever seen. I almost wish you could buy a bundle for like $1 or $2 cheaper stick because it's really about the stick for me. That is probably one of the best Padrones recently that I've smoked. And I smoked them last week for episode 500. And if you're a Padron fan, Donovan, you're going to love this cigar. I'm pretty confident that you are absolutely going to fall in love with this cigar. And for a Padron special release that normally goes between $25 and $30 or more dollars, to get it at 18, well, I'm like, this is like a bargain. This is great.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so that was really good.
I'll have to keep that in mind. I've got a great relationship with my local shop where their kids are playing music, and so I can trade some of the stuff out. And oh man, it's like Christmas for me when their one kid started playing the viola, right? And so I'm trading out a viola rental for cigars. Well, the same kid now is playing the upright bass.
Yeah.
And damn, son, have you seen how expensive upright basses are?
That's why I'm not playing upright bass.
Oh man, a good upright bass is like boxes and boxes and boxes of premium cigars. So
your wife must love that. Your wife must be like, so we're gonna go pay the mortgage.
Yeah.
And Donovan's like, well, I got all these great cigars. I don't know what to tell you. That's hilarious.
I ain't paying my mortgage with cigars, man. No way. I value the cigars more than the money.
That's right. So. You're like, I could sell these, or I could try and trade them in for the mortgage, but I'm not gonna because
upright bass rental for cigars. You guys ship?
Yeah.
To Rhode Island.
We do, man. I'll hook you up. Absolutely.
I'll have all sponsors on it. All on upright bass. We'll see if we can get Stogie Geeks a sponsor. We'll put Stogie Geeks on.
That's right. We're gonna sponsor Joe's bass. So Donovan, do you like to smoke cigars in the morning? What's your thoughts on Connecticut's?
All right, so I like Connecticut's. I kind of have this theory on cigars, though. I think a lot of guys that get into smoking cigars regularly, like all of us do, they tend to gravitate over towards medium full and fuller cigars. But I think cigars are like food. Number one, you should have them every day. Okay, so that's number one.
I like that.
And then two, like the variety is really kind of what makes a healthy cigar diet. And so some days, like if we're eating, some days we feel like steak, sometimes we feel like chicken, sometimes we might even want fish, or God forbid, you might have a salad.
Vegetables.
But like that whole gamut of flavors and food is what makes food so terrific. And I feel the same way with cigars. Like I love a light cigar if it has flavor to it, kind of early in the day, or at least early in the smoking day. And I like the variety of it, and I like to smoke everything from, probably maybe a medium light would be about the lightest up to a full. But I just think the variety of it is what makes it truly enjoyable.
Well, yeah, certainly the Roma Craft Neanderthal. Have you had that one in terms of a strong cigar on the opposite spectrum of a Connecticut?
Yeah.
Love that stick.
Love it. Absolutely tasty.
The stick's awesome. That's one of the best, in my opinion, full-bodied cigars on the market today.
Agreed.
Very enjoyable.
Do you have different sizes that you have a preference to, or I know a lot of people as we move through kind of in our smoking careers, I think I've kind of reached a point where I'm like, size doesn't really matter in terms of what I'll smoke. I may prefer a different size over another size in a blend, but I feel like when people first start out, you mentioned like coaching people, they kind of get pigeonholed into like, I only want to smoke Robustos. And I'm like, no, dude, like, Robusto might be good in one line, but in another line, it might be the Gourd, it might be that 60 ring. So what's your advice for people and what's your preference on size?
Well, I obviously, of course, you smoke what you like. I mean, that's the number one rule in cigars for me right there. In terms of sizes, I'll pretty much take any size. I don't like them when they get to the extreme large ring gauges. I don't want to feel like I'm getting lockjaw on smoking a cigar. And lately it seems like I've seen just some mammoth 72, 74 ring gauge cigars that, they look like a marital aid or something. Like, it's just insane,
Yeah, there was a movement about, 12, 15 months ago. There was a mini movement where it seemed like everyone was trying to go for the bigger sizes, and I think that's relaxed a little bit.
Yeah. But I think everyone's trying to outdo each other and go all the way up to 80.
Yeah,
80 ring.
It's just crazy.
Which is,
Well, you stated recently that you've circled back to the Churchill, right?
Even the 60.
Yeah.
But like once they go 80, right? Like I think the reason they went here's my conspiracy theory. The reason they went 70, like Donovan was saying, all the way up to 80, is so that when you smoke those and you pick up a 60, it kind of feels like a Churchill. You're like, oh, it's not that big of a deal. And now I'm smoking 60 ring, and I'm like, no, I can dig this now, because like 80 is way too much, right? It's over the top.
It's telephone pole.
60 is. I'm like, I can do a 60.
It's offensive.
Offensive. I like that. Good word.
Yeah, as for me, I tend to probably be more of kind of a Toro or Churchill kind of guy. That ring gauge and length is kind of a preferred size. But man, I mean, everything from the little the short Robustos to a Series A if it's the right cigar. When you get into that kind of like an A style cigar, man, you gotta love that cigar, because you're committing the next 90 minutes to 2 hours of your life to that.
2, maybe 3 hours. And I smoked one that was
more.
An LFD was a 9x60. 9x60. That thing was massive.
No joke.
Massive. It hit the door as I was walking out the door. It was literally longer than like me pushing the door open.
Someone calls your name, you turn around, you smack them.
Yeah, seriously. Like it would literally like hit you from here. Like if I was holding it like out here, like you may catch an ash like in the cheek. It's bad.
Heads up.
Yeah, it was bad. It was good, but it was a good cigar. I mean, LFD makes great cigars. It actually was a really good cigar, and I smoked it for 3.5 hours. Talk about a commitment, Donovan, right?
Hats off to the construction, though.
I've had relationships that didn't last that long, so there's no way you can do that with a cigar, I don't think.
To make a big cigar like that, you have to know what you're doing from the wrapper. Like, that has to be
to construct a cigar that large.
That has to be staying intact, and I don't know. I don't like anything above. I don't like anything. I shy away from 60s. I'm a 50 change.
Yeah.
Ring gauge.
Donovan, what's your white whale cigars? Like cigar that maybe you smoked once, or you wish that you get your hands on just to smoke one. Like, what's your white whale?
Oh my gosh. Well, I think you've given me a few today, but they're probably more accessible, so I think I can track those down. I don't know that I. Okay, well, I have an answer that sort of doesn't answer your question, which that's always great from an interviewee to not totally answer your question, but to give you another answer.
Been doing it a long time, used to it.
So when I started getting into the hobby. When I decided I wanted to buy a box of Cubans on the month and the year that my sons were born. And so I've got a box from August of 2001, and I've got a box of cigars from April 2008. And those cigars are being kept so that when my boys are old enough and they have certain milestones in their life, graduating high school, graduating college, getting married, that we can have these cigars together. And so it's probably those, because I haven't had them and I've been hanging on to them. I mean, my oldest son's 15, so I've been hanging on to them for years.
Wow.
And I hope to God they don't suck. But
can you imagine? You waited 18 years. So you got 3 more years to go on your oldest son, so you're almost there.
We're close. He'll be 16 this August, so
Wow,
I got 2.5 more years.
You're close.
And but I'm really excited to do that. But I think those are going to be really special. But I don't know that I really have anything else. I think most of the things that I've wanted to, been eager to try, I've been fortunate to be able to try, and I'm pretty open-minded about most things. I just kind of love them. It's pretty rare that I feel like I've truly had a bad cigar. So I enjoy them. I enjoy the feeling I get when I have them. I enjoy sometimes just being alone and smoking and kind of the soliloquy of the moment. I enjoy the camaraderie of being with friends, and it's almost cigar is like sort of the facilitator for all these things. It's not always just about the cigar, if that makes sense.
Makes total sense.
Absolutely. What advice do you have on a parting note for people who are just getting started in cigars, Donovan? You seem like you have you were there once and very sympathetic to those just getting into the industry. People have heard myself especially spout on about what you should do for new smokers, but I want to hear your take on what do you do for new smokers.
Sure. I think for me, I think there's a couple of things. I mean, number one, if they're listening to this podcast or kind of reading about that culture, I think that that's a great place to start. I think you have to take with a grain of salt some of the things you read online. It seems like sometimes when people start pontificating about things online, they start picking fly shit out of pepper, and they make this thing way more complicated than it really needs to be. And this thing it's a beautiful hobby. It's a wonderful thing to share with people, and the camaraderie and friendship to me is just as important as the cigar itself. Now, obviously, in terms of the specific sticks, usually if someone's new to it, I try to recommend a cigar that's more in that medium to medium light range. Usually not something too long, because most of the time, you give them something really long and they smoke about 3 inches of it, and they don't want any more of it, but they feel bad to put it down. And, I always just encourage them, hey, smoke as much as you want. If you don't want any more, that's fine. If you want another one, that's fine. I love it if I find, even if I'm in the cigar shop, and remember, this isn't my shop. I'm just a patron there. But if someone's there for their first cigar, I love to make recommendations and even give them one, and just as a gift to kind of show them the camaraderie that's in this community. That if you're new to this community of cigars, there's a friendship there that you kind of don't experience in almost anything else other than maybe in music. But to give someone something like that is great. But I tend to go to things that are kind of mild and creamy, and then I encourage them to hey, try some things that are strong. I remember when I had my first Opus X. That was my strongest cigar to that point. I was on a date with my lovely wife, and we were at a cigar bar waiting to be seated, and they had Opuses in the cigar bar. And at that point, you just couldn't find Opuses anywhere. And I'd always heard about them, and I was like, oh my gosh, here's this Opus. So I get this Opus. I can't remember what size it was. I think it was a Churchill. And I light this thing up, and I start smoking. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. It's delicious, And then I'm smoking, and I realize we're being seated for dinner in 25 minutes. And I've got
Decisions.
I start hotboxing it, Well, 30 minutes later, this guy's, out puking in the bathroom because I overdid it. And so I always tell people, man, when you smoke, you can smoke a newbie can smoke a strong cigar. You just take your time with it.
Right.
Take a puff every minute or so, and just take your time. And if you start to feel lightheaded, put it down. Drink something sugary. That'll kind of help. But trying them to me is really where it's at.
I love your stories, Donovan. I love
This guy is awesome.
Don't try and hotbox an Opus X. It's not going to work.
I thought you were gonna say we got takeout and
Right, yeah.
and I continued on smoking the cigar. But
I was waiting for it.
Hey, man, I finished that date. I'll have you know, I did finish that date.
yeah.
I mean, I had to empty the contents of my stomach first, but
Nice.
I finished that date.
Yeah.
Good man. Power through.
That's awesome, Donovan.
That's awesome
Well,
on so
so-
many levels.
So for listeners, Donovan, did you say it was a southeastern cigar? What is the
Southwest.
name? Southwestern.
Yeah,
Okay.
Southwest was it's actually abbreviated on Facebook, SWMO for Southwest Missouri. SWMO Cigar Aficionados, and you can find the group on there. And having this conversation is inspiring me to get something together this spring and do something for sure with the group. I know the guys are always asking about it, and I just kind of gotten busy but haven't. So you guys have inspired me to get off my ass and do something with it.
Well, awesome. Yeah, and if you're
Awesome.
in the area, make sure you join Donovan's group and head out into the community out there in Missouri. And if I'm ever in the area, I'll look you up, although I have to be honest, my travels don't often take me to Springfield, Missouri.
They take you over it, probably.
Probably over it, yes. Call it a flyover. My friend lives in South Dakota. I fly over his house all the time. Awesome. Well, Donovan, thank you so much for coming on the Stogie Geek Show.
Oh, thank you guys so much. This was such a treat.
care.
Such an honor to get to join you. I really appreciate it.